Once you gain weight, once the number of adipocytes in your body, once they increase, you do not go back to the original. There are different factors that contribute to obesity, even though most people believe that obesity is a result of uncontrolled eating. There is some evidence that genetic mechanisms also play a role in determining your body weight. So for obese parents, there is 70 to 90% of the chance that their children will be obese as well. And for thin parents, only 9% chances that their children will be obese. So there can also be some genetic mutations which is rare. For example, mutation in the gene for the adipocyte hormone leptin or its receptor leads to overeating, hyperphagia, and massive obesity. So, this is one of the factors contributing to obesity genetic causes, some mutations, but these are rare. There are other causes of obesity as well. For example, lack of physical activity. If you're not very active, if you don't burn calories, if you have a very sedentary lifestyle, you can easily consume more calories every day than you burn through your daily routine activities. So this can lead to obesity. If you could take unhealthy diet that is rich in calories, lack of fruits and vegetables, and if you eat a lot of junk food and fast food, high calorie beverages, you gain weight. There are certain medical problems as well, like Cushing syndrome, which can contribute to obesity. And taking of certain drugs like antidepressant and steroids can lead to obesity, and also some psychogenic problems like emotional deprivation and depression can also lead to weight gain. So these are all of the different factors that can contribute to obesity. Coming to molecules that influence obesity. Let's talk about leptin, which is hormone produced by the adipocytes. There is this OB gene present. The product of the OB gene is hormone called leptin. Leptin is produced proportionally to the adipose mass. If you have a lot of adipose tissue, there is more amount of leptin being produced, and if the adipose tissue mass is small, then less amount of leptin is produced. So this leptin, it informs the brain of the fat store level. It is secreted by the fat cells, adipose cells, and it acts on the hypothalamus to regulate appetite. So there is obesity, the product of which is leptin. Leptin is released in the blood. It acts on the hypothalamus and it induces satiety. Lack of appetite. When there is satiety, the person does not want to consume food. So there is regulation in the intake of food. So leptin, when leptin is released, then the person does not want to consume food. If you have a lot of adipose tissue, lot of leptin is being released, which informs the hypothalamus, which due to which there is induction of satiety, and the person does not consume food. The function of leptin is that it is required to keep the body weight under control. It is produced proportionately to adipose mass and signals the brain about fat store level, and it helps to regulate the amount of body fat, that is, to control the appetite and energy expenditure. Leptin secretion is suppressed in starvation when the fat stores are depleted. And leptin secretion is enhanced in well fed state when there is expansion of fat store. Look at this figure. So this figure shows that there is a lot of adipose tissue present, due to which there is a lot of leptin being released, which acts on the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus sends efferent signals that maintain food intake and energy expenditure at a set point. Maintain food intake or decrease food intake. But when starvation is going on, the fat stored is depleted. So there is less leptin being secreted. This acts on the hypothalamus, which sends the efferent signal that increase the food intake and decrease energy expenditure. So when there is a lot of leptin being produced, food intake is decreased, and when there is less amount of leptin being released, food intake is increased. There is this thing called leptin resistance. So normally leptin increases the metabolic rate and decreases appetite in the humans. In obesity also, plasma leptin level is usually normal for their fat mass, but there is leptin resistance found in obese humans. When there is normally the leptin, when it is released from the adipose tissue, it acts on the hypothalamus, due to which it regulates the appetite. But in case of obesity, there is leptin resistance. So even though the amount of leptin is normal, the leptin does not get to act properly. So there is no decrease in appetite due to resistance in the leptin. Even though the leptin acts to regulate the appetite, it is not being able to do so in the obesity because there is resistance to the leptin. There is another hormone, adiponectin. Adiponectin is exclusively and abundantly secreted hormone from the adipocytes. Leptin is also secreted from the adipocytes. Adiponectin is also secreted from the adipocytes. Adiponectin, it increases insulin sensitivity and improves glucose tolerance. So this adiponectin released from the adipocyte, it improves insulin sensitivity. When insulin sensitivity is improved, there is increase in fatty acid oxidation in the muscle, there is increase in fatty acid oxidation in the liver, there is decrease in gluconeogenesis, and there is also increase in glucose uptake by the muscles, by the adipose tissue. So adiponectin is a good hormone that is released from the adipocytes. The level of adiponectin, it inversely correlates with body fat percentage. So you can say that when there is a lot of adipose tissue, adiponectin, the good hormone, is produced in little amount. Inverse correlation is there. But if there is little amount of adipose tissue, adiponectin produced is more. So you can say that in case of obesity, when there is a lot of fat store, a lot of adipocytes, the level of adiponectin is low. The adiponectin, which carries out all these good function, it is present in little amount. Adiponectin levels decrease as the body weight increases. There is another hormone which is secreted by the stomach, ghrelin. It is the only known appetite stimulating hormone. It acts on the hypothalamus to increase hunger and to increase gastric acid secretion and GI motility to prepare the body for food intake. This hormone it stimulates appetite and the secretion increases just before meal and drops after meal. The levels in dieters are higher after weight loss. So you can say that the body it steps up ghrelin production in response to weight loss. When there is weight loss, there is more ghrelin being produced, which stimulates hunger. Other hormones are cholecystokinin and insulin. So these are all the molecules that influence obesity. So in obesity, there can be metabolic syndrome, there is hyperinsulinemia, glucose intolerance, central obesity, dyslipidemia, and hypertension. So, due to all this, there is increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. So, if you're asked to write the metabolic changes in obesity, you write these that there is metabolic syndrome, increased risk of cardiovascular disease, everything. And you go to the and you make this flow chart as well. If you're asked to write about the metabolic changes in obesity, please do not forget to write this in this chart. So what are the consequences of obesity? Obesity is associated with a high risk of type 2 diabetes mellitus, dyslipidemia, hypertension, heart disease, some kind of cancers, gallstones, arthritis, non-alcoholic fatty liver, sleep apnea, and mortality. Obesity is correlated with an increased risk of death or mortality, and also it is a risk factor for a number of chronic illnesses. So all these person who is obese is in high risk of developing all these conditions. What are the treatment options for obesity? Number one is use of calorie restricted diet. Dieting is the most commonly practiced approach to weight control. And also, if you increase your physical activity, can lead to weight reduction, and nutritional education regarding what kind of food to eat it should be given. If these do not work, then you can go for pharmacologic treatment with drugs like orlistat and lorcaserin. Orlistat is pancreatic and gastric lipase inhibitor. So when you give orlistat, fat digestion do not take place properly, due to which there is decrease in the absorption of dietary fat. And the drug lorcaserin, it promotes satiety. If even the pharmacologic treatment do not work and the person is extremely obese, you can also go for surgical treatment like gastric bypass surgery. So these are all the treatment options for obesity. But the best method is prevention. From the early age, if you consume a healthy diet and you exercise regularly, you can prevent obesity from occurring. So this completes obesity.